Hey everyone, Adam here to show you a brand new game called Homeseek. So Homeseek is a post-apocalyptic colony management survival game, kind of like Frostpunk or Surviving the Aftermath, Endzone, Banished, even Timberborn. So if you are familiar with that genre, you'll probably like this game and recognize some of the tropes in it. I have played this through the first chapter, and it is pretty good. I enjoyed all that I played. What I want to do today is to just play through part 1 of chapter 1 to kind of show you the game. So yeah, let's go ahead and just get started right away. We'll go ahead and go into play. So it is divided up into parts. Each part is divided up into chapters. Once you beat a specific part or chapter, you can unlock survival mode on that map. You can also unlock endless mode. There's also a multiplayer, which I will talk about a little bit. Probably towards the end of this. I'll put timestamps and things up, so if there's a specific thing you want to, go straight to learn about the game, just make sure you check out the timestamps in the description and the pinned comment. So, born, bred, and educated in underground bunkers, we emerge to stake our claim on the sparsely inhabited surface. What awaits us is a wasteland ravaged by drought and scarred by ancient wars. It may not be as devoid of life as we had imagined, but that does not make it any less perilous. And even where the barren land meets sea, the undrinkable water only taunts us more. Chapter 1, Thirst. The barrenness of the potential camp is almost enough to make us return to the bunker with our tails between our legs. There are 2 shallow wells, and further investigation turns up some scraggly berry bushes and piles of scrap. It's exposed to the elements, but has the basics for us to make a go of it. Alright, so there is a easy, medium, and hard. Medium is just your kind of basic playthrough. Easy makes things obviously easier, and hard, you guessed it, makes things harder. We're just going to show medium. This is the default they kind of designed the story around.
Today is June 6, 2101. I'm afraid that this may be one of the last of my writings. The water's finally run out down here, just like it did in the old world all those years ago. The others are finally prepping to leave, to emerge back into the world, because now they must go, perish from thirst. I was just a child when the rivers ran dry and the bombs began to fall. And now I've lived an entire lifetime in the darkness of this place. I barely even remember the world of my childhood, a world underneath the bright sun and blue sky. My skin is pale, my muscles are weak. I'd only be a burden to them in the harsh journey ahead. They're still young and adaptable. I know firsthand of their strength and resilience. If there's water to be found up there, they'll be the ones to find it. If there's anything to salvage from the ruins, they'll be the ones to do so. They know nothing of the society of the old world. They are the ones who might have a chance to rebuild civilization.
Well, it's good to know that Sam Elliott survives the apocalypse and lives another 100 years. Part 1, Chapter 1, Thirst. All joking aside, though, I really do like when games have voiceover. There's a lot of games that come out like this that have no voiceover, no cinematic or whatever. So, yeah, I enjoy that for sure. All right, a new beginning. With our few possessions finally unpacked, it's time to get started procuring the necessities of survival. Securing food, water, and shelter are our first priorities, and doing so won't be easy. But our spirits are fresh, and we're all ready to pitch in. Understood. So the first mission, you're kind of going through a series of quests, which are, they start out basically like tutorials. So you follow this, you can't really go too wrong. There are some pitfalls on this first quest, and you can absolutely fail it, but it's not too punishing on medium. And if you're only in it for kind of the story and the experience, don't feel bad about putting it on easy if you want. Whatever's fun for you, just, it is a game at the end of the day, so play whatever you enjoy. But anyway, lifeblood. Our community is desperate for a new source of drinking water. We need to build a contraption that will allow us access to the water at the bottom of our makeshift wells. To make matters worse, our prepackaged rations are gone. We'll have to risk consuming whatever we can forage. So we need to build a water extractor, a water storage, and we have to connect them, and build a food storage near a berry bush and connect it with that as well. So really quick, I did want to mention the UI. The UI is pretty bulky and stands out to me. It's very tactile, which I actually kind of like. I like these stylized ones. Man, there's a lot of games now where the UI is like super minimalistic, like maybe too much so, where it's just like a nearly transparent sort of gray background and Arial text, even for like all the menus and stuff, which is fine. It can work for some games, but I just wanted to throw that out there that I kind of like the stylized feel of this one. All right, so doing this will reward 8% happiness to our colony. All right, right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and pause. There's a 1x, 2x, and 3x speed button. There's a clock down here, you know, with the cycle that you're on and all that good stuff. We'll go through these buttons as they become available. I do want to mention up here is your resources, your happiness bar, and then this one is pretty important. So this shows your idle colonists or colonists that are not assigned to a job. I guess you would call those unemployed colonists, and your total citizens. And then in here, we can see that we have 15 citizens, but 0 housing, and we currently have enough food and water for everyone. So you can go ahead and put down buildings or orders to make buildings while you're in the pause menu, but your colonists will not go and make them until you unpause. There's our colonists there. So yeah, let's get started with the water extraction. So the water extractors at this stage have to go over the wells. There are 2 on this map. So I'm just going to start at this one here. And then we need a water storage. So later on, there's going to be more things that you're going to want to connect to the water storage. So you can kind of think about having an area that you can clear out a little bit. So I'm just going to put this one here with a little bit of foresight that I know I want to build some other stuff up there to connect to it. All right, in addition, we're going to do the food storage. So the food storage shows the radius where you're able to, like, you know, collect and deliver food to it. You can put it here and hit all 3 of those berry bushes. There's also a berry bush down here, but later on there's going to be a farm up here, and instead of having to build 3 of these, I'm going to try to position it where, you know, in the long run we only have to build 2. So I'm going to go ahead and put this here. It's going to hit the 2 current berry bushes, and then later on it'll be able to hit that farm when we unlock that. All right, and now we'll just unpause and let them do their work. So this is as far down you can zoom right now, and again you can fast forward this and it to go faster. But I always like in these games, like, watching the colonists, or it calls it citizens in this one. I always like watching them work. Now, another thing is you can go ahead and hook these things up while they're being built. So let me go ahead and show that. So in your buildings, there's going to be this connections button. This is how you determine, you know, what work is being done from that building, what's delivered where, all that kind of stuff. We'll get into this more once we have more options, but for now, I'm just going to go ahead and connect this to the 2 berry bushes, and the water extractor, I'm going to connect this one to the water storage. Now, when you connect things like this, you can choose what kind of piping. This is another reason to put the water stuff close together, because the better the piping, which you want to use, right? You want it as efficient as possible, especially because water is so friggin' important in this game. You want it as efficient as possible. So using plastic, it only takes 78 scrap because we're so close. Anyway, go ahead and set that up. And as you can see, we finished that quest. Now, I'm not going to read all the flavor text in this playthrough of Mission 1. You know, when you play through the game, you can choose to read through this if you would like. But our next mission is just to store away some water, some food, and some scrap. And in doing so, we'll get some more happiness. All right, so let's let them do the building here. Now, once things are done, there's a lot of menus in here you can check. Now, you can press Alt to kind of have a summary, and when you hover over, so you don't have to go in here, but I find it usually better just to click on this. Alt at a glance is going to be better when you have like a bigger base, bigger colony set up. But anyway, so this will show you like how much is being collected. You can assign workers here. You can hit max, and it'll just, you know, obviously put the maximum amount as long as you have free labor, and then you can add or subtract from there. We're going to go ahead and max this out. Water's super important, so we're going to have all 5 people going there. And we're going to go ahead and max out the berry bushes as well. And then we'll put our other 5 on scrap. So again, I'm going to build some stuff over here. So we'll start clearing this stuff out, headed towards the farms. So let's go ahead and put the rest of our labor force on getting rid of that scrap pile. And yeah, let them do their thing. All right, so periodically through your playthrough, you will have some of these events. There are some that are kind of semi-random, and then obviously in the story, there's going to be quite a few that are, you know, pre-scheduled, let's say. So, strange landers arrive. A group of strange wastelanders arrive at our doorstep, apparently desiring to join our community. They speak in a weird accent, and we don't recognize them from our time in the bunker. They must have somehow survived on the surface all these past years. They brought a small offering of food and water in an attempt to convince us of their good intentions. So we only... A lot of these you'll have choices what you do with them. This first introductory one, the tutorial one, you do not. So accepting this, we get some food, some water, some more colonists, some scrap, and we lose some happiness. Overcrowding. So a new quest has come up since we hit this. So now it wants us to build 3 houses, especially with, the new colonists coming in. So we did finish our daily needs quest, so happiness is going up right after we lost some, so that's nice. Now, this meter up here is going to show when you have exhausted citizens, very sick, dehydrated, and starving citizens, which we'll go over how to cure those things. But for now, we just need to build these houses, which will help with the exhaustion at least. Houses are in quality of life. So again, we're going to need 3 of those. And I already know that I'm going to put water stuff over here. We got farm and food stuff over here. So maybe here's a pretty decent place to spread out some of our houses. All right, we only have the scraps for 2 right now, so we should have the scrap for the 3rd one really, really quickly. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some people into that scrap pile there. That sounds kind of brutal. And yeah, we'll have some people grab those berries too. All right, we finished the quest for the building of the 3 houses. Now, generally, it's not good to have any citizens idle. So anytime you have any idle citizens, you might as well put them on something. Obviously, food and water are some of the most important, but if you're good on those, always collecting scrap, you're always gonna need scrap. So let's go ahead and throw some more people on scrap in the meantime. All right, another event. Again, this is a sort of scheduled event for the story, and I'm not gonna read through all of these like I mentioned earlier. But basically, we are going to need to figure out how to make a hospital for our people because they're getting sick. So we need to build a research center, research the medical center, and then build the medical center. All right. So the research center takes 500 scrap. Like I said, they're always going to need scrap. So we'll let them collect that. And as soon as we get to the 500, we'll build it. All right, let's tuck the research center back there. Looks good to me. Now that the research center is done, I'm going to pull these 4 people off that scrap pile that I just kind of threw them into. And then we'll just put them over here in the research center and then go down here to technologies in order to research the medical center. So here is the technologies tree, the research center. You're not going to get all of these in the first mission. We will unlock some more through expeditions, which we'll learn about really soon here. But for now, we just want to get over to the quality of life section and grab the medical center. But yeah, there's 4 different sections and, branching technologies and so on. Now, once you do research a technology, there's also add-ons to many of those that pop up. Like there will be some for the medical center as well that augment it to make it better. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and start the medical center, which is going to take 9 in-game hours. Thank goodness, only in-game. All right, we're doing really well in scrap. So I'm going to go ahead and pull off of that scrap pile and go back to the berry bushes here. 1 drop at a time. So build the expedition center and create a new expedition. So this is incredibly important. You have to do this in playthroughs and like as soon as you can usually, or you are going to lose, you're going to die. So let's go ahead and set this one up. Super, super important. Maybe even more important than the medical center. So let's go ahead and go to progress and growth, the expedition center, and let's see where we can fit this in here. All right, so the expedition center is done. So once that's done, you only have 1 expedition you can send out, but you get research to be able to send out more. So we're going to set up an expedition. And in here, you can choose how many people you're going to send, up to 6, and what resources they're going to take with them. So for us, let's go ahead and let's send the 4 that were... Really need a lot of food. But I think that'll be okay. Let's go ahead and take the 4 that are on these berries here. There we go. 4 out of 6. And then you can choose what all they take with them. Obviously, they have a carry capacity and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to go into detail on all this. But they are going to require water, food, and scrap at least. So for now, we only have access to this contaminated water. So we have enough contaminated water for 2 days, I guess. So good luck with that. And food. We'll do enough for 2 days as well. And enough scrap for 2 days. All right. Well, hopefully that's enough. So now the expedition will gather, and then we can choose where they go. As we can see, our research is still getting done during the day. All right, our expedition is ready. So when the expeditions are set up, it'll be over here. It'll kind of tell you what's going on with them, their health, all that kind of good stuff. You also get pop-ups here, which also automatically pause the game every time your expedition needs something from you. If they're idle, if you need to like tell them what to do, whatever, you'll get a pop-up, which is nice. So to begin with, there's only one location we can go to. So we're going to go ahead and select our expedition and head over to the Mudlands. It'll take 12 hours. Just really quick, I always like zooming in and seeing how the buildings are designed, like what they're built off of, what are they doing with the scraps and stuff. So it's always fun to kind of zoom in these games. Like we can see there's part of the plane here is the expedition center, and just, hodgepodge stuff everywhere. Always fun to watch. It's one of my favorite things in like Timberborn is to zoom in and watch the post-apocalyptic beavers going about their daily lives. But anyway. Okay, so we got a message event, and this is one that we have kinda the ability to choose. I mean, basically, there are people that are going to arrive, and we can either accept them now or we can wait a little bit. We are dangerously low on food and water, so we're gonna wait a little bit. But they are on their way, and there's nothing we can do about that. All right, so the expedition party requires our attention. So every now and then you're gonna have choices in here. And again, I'm not gonna read through all the story. These are nice though, and I really like the artwork for each kind of event and area that they have. But yeah, in here you can see like what your expedition has left. Their speed, all the details of your expedition, and then they have a log that's kind of telling what's going on, and occasionally you're going to be able to pick stuff. So should we check inside the ship for anything valuable, or should we just move on? So let's check this one out. Cracked earth and sand give way to viscous mud as we near the wetlands, making our journey all the more arduous. Before we see any water at all, though, we come across a small, old ship completely breached, lying on its side on dry earth. None of us have any idea how it could have gotten there. What should we do? We can check in the ship, or we can move on. So, as you probably guess, a lot of the times, checking things and it can lead to death, health issues, all kinds of bad things, or you get things from it. So it's always a risk reward. At this stage, I don't know what the percentages are, or if they're always the same outcome. I doubt it, but let's roll the dice and check inside. Inside, we spend some time exploring the ship. So once they're done exploring the ship, we'll get another pop-up, and hopefully it's good news. In the meantime, though, our medical center has been researched. So done with that. Now, until we get another main research, we can do some of these side things. So like I mentioned earlier, permanently increase the water collection for water extractor. Seems really good. Go ahead and upgrade that. Those guys are doing some work in there. And yeah, medical center is under quality of life. Takes 350. We have just enough. And let's put that over here as well. Now, one thing I'm going to do, because we're getting kind of low on food, is I'm going to reduce how many people are researching temporarily, because our current research isn't super vital. And I'm going to throw them on to the berry bushes. All right, expedition party requires your attention. Exploring deeper into the wetlands, a single figure soon appears over the horizon, coming toward us. It walks on stilts through the mud, and with every step, metallic jingles can be heard from a great sack it carries on its back. It stops before nearing our party, then raises a mud-slathered hand to point at us. What should we do? Offer it some food. Takes 100 of our food. Offer it some scrap, or attack it. We actually have an extra day of scrap because we got 500 for checking that ship. didn't even notice that. So yeah, the ship's rusty engine block still has some parts. So lucky us. And I guess we'll just pay it forward to where the crap this is. So we offer the mysterious figure some of our scrap. Okay. All right. We just finished the medical center. So that quest is done. And we need to put some people in here because we have some very sick citizens. Where are we going to pull from? Maybe I should have accepted those new people right away. Let's just pull 2 from the new berries that we put there. Max out the hospital. For anyone wondering, this is as far out as you can zoom the game right now. The scrolling is a little bit slow too. A lot of games will make it so if you hold shift, it scrolls a little bit faster. So I'm hoping the developers do end up adding that. You can zoom in. This is the max zoom, and it scrolls a little bit faster zoomed in, which makes sense. All right, we finished that one, and we can now check up on our expedition party. So we got 2 of them that are sick, one that's very sick, and one that's unhappy. All right, we're gonna go ahead and select them and head over to the only other place we can go, which is the campus. We also can now research wetlands. So wetlands is going to convert our contaminated water into poor water, which, you know, is not great, but still better than what we currently have access to. Let's go ahead and have them start researching that. Now it's going to pause the research on the house upgrade, but you don't lose that progression. So when we come back to finish that off, you know, it'll pick up where we left off. For another event, the storm bears down. As the dust clouds envelop our encampment, work nearly grinds to a halt. Fortunately, those with shelter can ride out the worst of the storm in their makeshift lodgings. But we pity anyone trapped outside as the storm rages on. So this is another reason why you need housing for everyone, aside from just exhaustion events like this. Weather stats changed to dust storm. So that scrap is gone. We definitely want to keep gathering scrap though, and I want to clear out this area as I mentioned earlier. So we will go ahead and that there, and we'll put another person on research. Everyone's happy though. Got that going for us. More expedition stuff. Our expedition finally reached the outskirts of the campus. The large building of cement and glass, though broken and abandoned, seems to us like they could have once composed an entire city in their own right. We first come across a large hall that has been recently barricaded shut. After banging on the door, a voice from inside yells back, "Who's there?" Apparently they're old. What should we do? These people must be fellow survivors. We should invite them to our community, or whoever's in there could be dangerous. We should leave them alone. Okay, so in a lot of these games, well, it depends on the game because Banished is kind of like that too. But anyway, you got to be careful how many people you bring in, especially in this one because there is absolutely limited water and food total. The well runs dry pretty quickly. The berries don't last very long. So I'm actually just going to leave these people alone. So whoever's in there could be dangerous. We should leave them alone. After deliberating for a while, we decide that it's best to just move on. We come across a small grouping of buildings. A cursory pass-through yields nothing of value other than scraps of faded paper. One partially collapsed structure, though, with a sign out front reading, "Chemical Engineering." Seems as if it might have some salvageable scrap among its rubble. So we can either get some more scrap. We have enough for 3 days right now. But we might be in danger. So right now we have more scrap than we do these two. I'm actually just going to move along. And you might be saying to yourself, man, he's not taking any of these risks. That's because my first playthrough through this, I took a bunch of these risks just to see what happened. And I lost several expeditions on my very first try. So this time I'm going a little bit safer most of the time, I think. We avoid the ruined building and move on. Okay, so we have just unlocked the research ability for the community center, and that's because of our expedition. They discovered that at the campus, so that's going to be what we get right after we get done researching the water, I believe. We will be able to get the community center. This allows you to have laws. So again, it's not, well, a lot of games do it, but it does remind me a little bit of Frostpunk in that regard. All right, the expedition is idle and they are unhappy and not well. So we have a couple places we can go to. We can go to a cavern or we can go to the old farm. Let's go to the old farm. Sounds like we might can get some food there. All right, so one of the expeditioners has left the expedition, so now we're down to 3 because they were depressed. So, and now all of our other ones are sick. So, improve health, build medical facilities. Well, we could bring them back home and then send out a different expedition. We might do that after the old farm, honestly. Depends on how they're looking, but. So, resource pile has been depleted. So, again, some of the food completely gone. So, we'll move those over to that berry bush there, and hopefully we get the farm going pretty soon. All right, expedition again. The journey to the old farm starts to drain our energy even before the heat wave hits us. The sun bakes the sand beneath us like an oven, and before long many of us begin to feel delirious and weak. Our destination is still beyond the horizon, but our map says it can't be too much further. What should we do? Double rations of water for everyone. We only have 1 day of water. Can't spare any water. Nope, we can't spare water. Good luck. We press on. Weather now is back to normal, so the dust has subsided. We quickly decide to push on. The heat takes a serious toll on our health. Some of us begin to doubt that we'll make it back home, so we lose some happiness and some health. The story said the soil would be moist and fertile here, but the ground is cracked, dry, and covered in dust and sand for miles in every direction. And so we barely realize that we've arrived at an old farm before we find the half-ruined farmhouse itself. We're all exhausted, but we're all exhausted by the journey by the time we arrive. What should we do? Take some time to rest in the farmhouse, or we can't afford to waste any extra time here. Let's let them recover, especially now that they're so unhappy and stuff. All right, we unlocked the research for the farm, which is going to be very, very important. So let's go ahead and, well, we're almost finished with this one. And we're doing really well on scrap. So I think I'm going to just pull some people off scrap to get our research going faster. And then let's see what the expedition has to say here. All right, they are idle. So we can go to the amusement park, the casino, a shopping mall, or back home. These ones are going to die soon if we don't bring them back home. So let's bring them back home, and then we'll set out a new expedition over to the shopping mall. All right, new event. Survivors arrive. So this is from earlier. An expeditioner has left because they're depressed right before they got home. This is the one that we waited on earlier. So now we're going to get 13 more people. 400 food, 400 water. We're going to need another house immediately for this. So let's go ahead and welcome them and go in housing here. Let's throw that among the other houses. And we suddenly have an excess of workers, which is really nice. Let's go ahead and also grab another food storage down here that can reach both of the other berry bushes. And while those are being built, again, we can go ahead and select these and connect them before it's even built. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we're going to need a lot of scrap coming up because we're going to have a lot of, our farm, everything else that we need to build. So let's go ahead and throw some of these people onto more scrap. And as soon as these berries are done, we'll throw the rest of the berries. Actually really need to build those berries so I can send an expedition back out. All right, we completed the wet lands research. So the wetlands, again, converts contaminated water, and it has these upgrades so you can get increased input, more workers there, increase the efficiency, and so on. We're gonna go ahead and hit up the farm next. This one has died due to water contamination. Well, that's unfortunate. So right as the wetland thing gets finished researching. So anyway, we'll get that built also. And we want it pretty close here. Now we're gonna need somewhere to store cleaner water. So we're gonna make another water storage place too. Lots of scrap being spent. Lots of scrap. All right, we got 5 idle people, but again, we're gonna put them on the berries as soon as this is done. An accident. While toiling away the day's work, we hear a large crash and then some howls of pain. When we investigate, we find out a pair of community members have injured themselves in an accident. If only the dangers of our work weren't an unfortunate necessity of our survival. Yeah, nothing we can do about that one. All right, so we're gonna throw some people onto berries for a little bit. And as you can see there, we still need another house. We have 2 people that aren't housed, but do have plenty of scrap. So another house over here. And now our wetlands is done. Again, it's going to take workers. We're doing pretty well on scrap, so I'm going to go ahead and take these guys off and put them there. All right, so it's going to convert the contaminated water. So we need to connect up here to the contaminated water storage, and we want to go plastic, and that's why I put this so close, so it doesn't take a lot. And then we want the output to go to the water storage. All right, so what I like to do after you do this is click on the water storage of the contaminated, and you can actually turn this off so people won't get their water from there any longer. So we're going to do that. That way people only pick up their water from the water storage. There's going to be a moment here, though, where we don't have a lot coming in, so got to be careful of that. In fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and pull 2 people off research. Make sure we have this maxed out. All right, build up food again. So once this gets up a bit, we'll send that expedition back out. Okay, we completed research of the farm. So now I think we are going to go ahead and get our community center so we can get some laws going. Some pretty good ones. Pretty good laws. And let's go ahead and get the farm down. So the farm is going to use dirty water as well. It basically converts dirty water into food. And yeah, it can only be built over this arable land here. So, all right, the farm is done. So we need to connect that. We want to connect it to the water storage. And this is pretty far away. I should have probably put that a little bit closer, but it's all right. And then we'll have the output go to food storage. We definitely need to get expeditions back out. Food's rough, though. The sun's heat is becoming unbearable, and our unprotected water reserves are evaporating before our eyes. The sight of the invaluable water vanishing so quickly prompts us to take inventory of our remaining resources. Our community comes to a grim conclusion. Even without the effects of the heat wave, our water is quickly running out. Our time here has suddenly become very limited. We need to think of solutions to these problems, and fast. So we have to find a way to reduce water consumption, and I'll let you know that for some reason a mall is a good idea. So it's kind of a silly way to put it, but basically it's telling you if you send an expedition to the mall, you're going to get technology to help with that. So we have a few days to get that set up, but we don't have enough food, so we gotta get food collected so we can send out a new expedition. All right, weather's back to normal, and food and water are in an okay place. So let's go ahead and get that expedition set up. All right, new expedition. I think sending out like 4 people worked pretty well. Yeah, definitely don't want to take anyone out of the water. And we're gonna need some workers on the farm now that's all connected to. Just kind of trying to run through these berry bushes first, but all right. New expedition. So we're gonna send out the 4 like we did last time. And we're just going to send them with 2 days of food and water and hope they find enough to survive after that on their own. All right, our new expedition. Let's get them sent out to the over to the shopping mall. All right, so that berry bush has been completely exhausted, so I'm going to move these 5 over to the farm now. Just as the mall appears to us over the horizon, one of our party members doubles over, falling to the ground. He's clearly in immense pain. Seems to be holding a specific spot on his abdomen. Someone mentions that he seemed to be struggling to keep pace with the rest of the expedition earlier, too. We either set up a small camp and hope for them to recover, or we can try to remove the thing inside of them. Here's the thing. When I actually played through this the first time, I set up a small camp, and they died. So I don't know if that was just bad luck, but it seems like a really bad idea to try to remove whatever's in their stomach, but Let's see if this is another way to kill them, or if this is the way to go. One of our expeditioners know a bit of biology. We hold down the afflicted and sterilize a knife. Oh boy. Can't see how this could go wrong. Well, we're about to find out. Man. There's something inside of them that's hurting them. Maybe we can remove it. We remove a small piece of black tissue from the afflicted and stitch them up before they lose too much blood. He seems to be stable now. We'll let him rest for a while and catch up with us later. So lose some health, but he doesn't die. So that's it. That's a good thing, I guess. Moments after entering the mall, we see that human remains are scattered nearly everywhere throughout its interior. Many corpses seem to be clutching brightly colored clothes, leather shoes, or other trinkets, still in near perfect condition next to their decaying bodies. Perfect condition after 100 years? Sounds plausible. What should we do? It might be unsettling, but we should search the corpses for anything useful. Maybe they're all dead here for a reason. Let the dead lie. Let the dead lie. We need to get the research from this mall. Sooner the better. So thirsty, there's no water left for me. So we might actually want to turn on the contaminated water temporarily. It's not getting converted fast enough. In fact, yeah, that's fine. Fine. All right, we finished the mall thing, so people are getting a little bit happier. Nice, nice. Now research the research for water distribution center. So we're gonna finish our current technology research before we do that. All right. They're actually in pretty good shape. So we can go to the Science Museum or Casino, Amusement Park, or Cavern. We're going to go over to the Science Museum. Sure there's something good there. Refugees arrive. Another group of survivors arrive at our encampment wanting to join our community. They tell us that a group of vicious bandits raided their camp and destroyed everything. Fortunately, they managed to flee, and after wandering for some time, nearly starving, they spotted the smoke rising from the fires of our settlement. Oh man, we can turn them... We can not only turn them down, but we can actually get extra food and water from them, but our people will lose 9% happiness. We just decline them with no downside, or we can accept 10 people. We do not have the food and water for 10 people, so... Oh man, I'm actually thinking about demanding the toll from them. That's brutal. Brutal. You know what? Last time I think I went with just decline. Let's actually... God, let's put the bad guy and demand a toll. Not even the bad guy, the even worse guy. Alright. Super villain, I don't know. Maybe minus the super part. Yeah, hey, we have food and water now. Food and water. So, speaking of water, water is running up pretty quickly. So, we're going to go ahead, I think, and build the second well. So, water extractor. Oh, what? I didn't know that would do that. I thought it wouldn't let you build close enough to block that in. Wow, that's unfortunate. So, I'm going to have to... Wow. I'm going to have to destroy the house. Do we get our material back? Yeah, okay. That's really unfortunate. I didn't do that in my my first playthrough. I just thought the green was like a safe spot. So, boy, oh boy. Well, there you go. Don't build too close to the other well, or you're gonna have to rebuild a bunch of buildings. So, the more you know. We carefully step past the broken glass of the entrance and see first a small room near the entryway labeled with a sign reading gift shop. It's completely ransacked save for a small box in the corner. The words special gift are scrawled sloppily on the wall above. What should we do? We're not gonna open the box, and the reason why, again, slight spoilers, I guess. On my first playthrough, I was just taking all risk. I ended up winning still, but I was taking almost all the risk, and opening it blew the expedition up. So if you want less mouths to feed, then open the box. If not, though, you should probably ignore it. We waste no time in deciding to ignore the box. We feel we did the right thing and leave the suspicious box behind. Explore the rest of the museum. Continuing further, we soon hear the echoes of voices coming from deeper within the museum. We approach carefully at first, but soon come upon an unthreatening band of survivors who have set up an encampment inside the museum's halls. Some of them are injured, and they explain they fought off a gang of bandits not too long ago. We could offer them to join the colony, or we could just move on. Man, I think I'm just gonna move on this time. You guys have survived here long enough. You'll be fine, I'm sure. After deliberating among ourselves, we decide we don't want the extra responsibility. Well. All right, the research for the community center is done. And now we want to go over and get this water distribution center. So this will make it so that we turn out water more efficiently to our citizens. All right, let's go ahead and get the community center down. I'm gonna put this over here by the research area. Okay, our expedition team has unlocked another research force. We go to the courthouse or the casino from here. I've actually not gone to the courthouse. I didn't go to that one in mine, so let's go check that out. And so now we can also research this tower, which collects contaminated water from the surrounding area during night hours. Very nice. So it just generates water pretty much. And good timing too, because we're going to be moving on to our last well here soon after I reposition most of these freaking buildings I screwed up on. So, yeah, let's go ahead and move the hospital. As soon as I do this, we're like, I need medical care. I need medical care. All right, the community center is done. So once you have the community center, you have this menu, and you'll have these laws that you can put in here, and you can emphasize whether you want it to go through the voting phase faster, or the application emphasis. I've been leaving it in the middle, and it seemed fine for me. There's different types of laws as well, represented by these letters. This one is an Arwen. Arwen. No, not that Arwen. Not the elf. Each citizen will contribute to the scrap production during the day. So just some basically free scrap. So go ahead and have that voted on. It's going to take 20 hours, especially with just this one person working there. But yeah, this is a little bit different than the first time I played. I think I had about around 40 citizens at this stage. So it'll be interesting to see if I can get to the win condition without having quite as much. Water extractors rapidly depleting the 2 shallow wells. All descent over our settlement as everyone truly begins to understand the urgency of our situation until we find some new source of water. All we have left to drink are our rapidly dwindling reserves already extracted from the ground. When they run out, we will quickly die from dehydration. Keep sending expeditions until we find a way out of the valley. Okay. All right. Well, at least all of our water is clean adjacent. The nice thing about when I was doing this and I had more people is I was really pumping the research out quickly. So that's all right. I'm going to build a new one of these expeditions. Wow. We only have one type. Hopefully this doesn't screw this up. Oh, guess we're about to find out. You know what? I don't think it's going to let us destroy that until they're back from their expedition, which is real bad, because if this well runs dry before then, we're just going to die because I can't put a new well there. Yeah, that's crazy. So, you know, we should probably get this tower banged out. Let's go ahead and do that. That's probably the most important thing right now. Climbing the sand-dusted steps and passing... I don't know why that's stuck on my cursor. That's kind of weird. Climbing the sand-dusted steps and passing between huge crumbling pillars makes us feel like we've gone further back in time than the end of days. This impression fades when we enter and are greeted by archways and screening devices. Security was clearly a priority here. There's a metal box fastened to the wall. What should we do? Fashion a makeshift crowbar and force the box open, but then we have no camp stuff, or ignore it. Yeah, let's ignore it. I don't have enough. We gotta get them probably back home so I can move this building before we run out of water. What a mess. What a mess. I'm not sure why that's stuck on that. It's like it thinks I have a... Yeah, weird. It was like it thought I still had a building selected to build or something. We make our way past some cells. Someone scrawled "Jack made me do it" on one of the walls. Next to the cells, there's a double labeled security. A door, rather. A door labeled security, not a double. There's a keypad. What should we do? Press the key down, left, right, left. Press the keys right, down, up, down. Up, down, left, down. There's no way we're guessing that. Yeah, there's no way. Even with, 4 buttons, combinations are more than these. If anyone ends up doing that one correctly, let me know, like in the comments or whatever, what happens with yours, or if you do it wrong. That one, like I said, I don't think I came here when I did my first playthrough of this, so I thought I remember. All right, so we've actually scouted the way out of the valley, but now we need to have 12 citizens that are not depressed or exhausted, and then we have to find the location to settle in order to get victory. Now also vote for smaller rations, so this is going to reduce happiness, but people are going to eat less, but this one's still going through, so we're not going to worry about that one. So this is really interesting about this. We can make it with just that one well, honestly. Like, how... There's 7 hours from the mountain pass. Oh man, we're just going to go for it. Just going to go for it. This is actually surprising. I have way less buildings and everything than on my first playthrough that I won. And we had, like, with so many more people, we had exhausted all the berry bushes and all but, like, one of the scrap piles. So, also had 2 laws passed. It's a... Well, I mean, I'm maybe getting ahead of myself. I was going to say, it's a good sign, though, that you can win these missions on the default difficulty in different ways. You're not forced into just figuring out the one puzzle that'll get you to the correct ending, you know? So... yeah. I'm curious how hard it is. I usually play these games on harder difficulty, so I'll have to try that out. If you want to see that, let me know, and I'll think about playing through this mission again on hard difficulty and posting that, but only, if there's enough interest. As the column of our expedition makes its way up the mountain trail, we begin to hear a distant rumbling. Noise quickly grows louder before suddenly the great boulders of a rock slide are falling all around us. When the dust clears, it is apparent that many of us have been separated on the other side of a new rocky barrier. What should we do? It may take an extremely long time, but we need to try and clear the way in order to reunite with our fellow survivors. We'll die of thirst or starvation. Yeah, just leave them behind. God. We are running out of resources. Big time. Big time. Also running out of food back home. Water is at an all-time low. 2 of the expedition members have died. Wow. The trek through the mountains is extremely long and arduous, and after much forced marching, some of our expedition begins to protest. A small but significant minority expresses the desire to turn back, find some other way back through the mountains, and look for other sources of water back the way we came. Hey, we actually picked up some stuff, though. The map clearly indicates that our best chance of finding water lies on the other side of the mountains. They'll die of thirst if we allow them to break off and turn back. They're in charge of their own destiny. Let them go. No. There's only 2 people on our expedition. This is really risky. We force those who disagree with us to continue marching onward, although it slows our progress to do so. Oh God, we're really cutting it close. This is so crazy. So crazy. I guess it's not as crazy for you watching, but for me, having played through this completely differently, it's actually nuts how different the resources look up here to my other playthrough of this. But anyway, put those on there, and yeah, we gotta get that research done. Max that out. Max that out. Oh, people are gonna be real thirsty real soon. This is gonna cut it close. Hey, I was never even worried.
World outside the bunker is unforgiving. At the constant mercy of the elements, we've barely scraped by. Our stomachs groan, our mouths are parched, and each day feels like it could be our last. And yet, despite these trials, we've persisted. The uncertainty of our existence is daunting. While we continue to draw breath, hope remains. Day by day, our will to survive grows stronger. Some of us are even beginning to believe we just might make it.
All right, it was never close here, right? So 46%, my first win on this. I got something like 74%. Maybe it was like 40 something survivors. I had no deserters on my first one. Yeah, so much different. But also this one took less time than my first one, which is interesting. So, yeah, so again, that was the first mission of Homeseek, first part of chapter 1. So as you can see, the game has some similar elements to many of these kind of survival games. It's a post-apocalyptic survival strategy game. That's right. Let me combine some words that don't make sense. Colony management, or collegiate, apparently. So if you like that kind of game, you'll probably enjoy it. I've liked it so far, and I definitely want to continue. Now, I will go over a couple things here. So I mentioned early on that I would talk about the multiplayer mode. So there is a multiplayer mode, which is an interesting take on it. So how the multiplayer works is like you and a group of people, so you can have private lobbies or public lobbies, whatever. You basically each start with a map like this one, like a little base, and the time controls are set. So the time moves the same for everyone. And on the expedition map, you can see everyone's settlement, and you can interact with one another and each other's expeditions that way. There is a cooldown on those interactions, and they can be positive or negative. Now, the kind of interesting thing, and I can't think of another game has quite done the multiplayer like this. So they want to contain how long the multiplayer takes, so you kind of know when what you're getting into. It's not like, a Civilization multiplayer game that you could be playing for many days. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just a different thing. So the matches take about an hour, and what it is you survive 12 days, I believe it is. So 12 days with the clock constantly running, takes about an hour, and whoever has the most citizens alive at the end of those 12 days wins the game. So kind of a neat concept. I have not, tried it out myself yet, but I have watched some of it and looked at kind of the maps and how the overworld works in multiplayer. So, if you're interested in me showing some of that, I can definitely look for some people to try this out with and see what that feels like. But pretty neat concept. And I think that about does it. So again, I just kind of wanted to show you what the game was like. I did not play that very well. It's really weird that I played the first time with my base instincts. Ended up, I did the game better, or played through better than on my second attempt. I did also want to thank the developers and the publisher. So the developer Traptics and the publisher, the Iterative Collective, for sponsoring this video. So they did give me the key for the game, some early access to it. And they also sent me a little, I guess you call it loot bag. So I'm going to actually play this on my Twitch stream tomorrow. Well, when this goes up, it probably won't be tomorrow, but I am going to play this on my Twitch stream. And I'll probably go through just maybe this mission again, but the full story part. So if you want to see that, the full VODs of it, it's going to be up here on YouTube as well. To access my VODs, just go into my channel and click on live there. And I actually upload my VODs as live streams, even though they are not live on YouTube. And so if you're interested in seeing the actual full playthrough and reading through all the things and doing all the things, that's where that will be. So again, thank you for watching this. If you like this at all, please let me know. I'm not opposed to doing some more videos like this where I just kind of play off stream and kind of talk through what I'm doing. It was a little weird for me because I haven't made a video like this before. So if it came off as a little bit dry or awkward or reserved or whatever, I apologize. It is a lot different than my stream. But yeah, it was fun nonetheless. And I like the game. I will be playing it more. I am a fan of, Frostpunk. I'm looking forward to Frostpunk 2. Surviving the Aftermath, In Zone, both good. Banished, I've played so much Banished in the past. And Timberborn, love Timberborn as well. So this game, takes a little bit of all those, but not trying to reinvent the wheel, so to say. But yeah, just a really good colony management game, which are some of my favorites to chill out and play too. So, but anyway, like I said, that does it for me. If you like this, make sure to leave a comment, like the video, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching.